Picture this. It's a quiet Tuesday evening. I'm in my pajamas, cup of tea in hand, about to binge watch my favorite show. Life is good, peaceful, uncomplicated. That is, until my doorbell rings. Now, I'm not expecting anyone, and unexpected visitors in this neighborhood usually mean one thing: trouble with a capital K, and I don't mean the letter. I open the door, and there she is, Madison Payton, 16 years old, daughter of Karen Payton. Yes, that's her actual name, because the universe has a sense of humor. Madison's standing there with this expression, you know the one, that perfect blend of entitlement and impatience that only a teenager raised by a helicopter parent can master. She doesn't say hello, doesn't say excuse me, just looks me dead in the eye and says, "I need your Wi-Fi password." I blink. Once. Twice. Surely I misheard. "I'm sorry, what?" She sighs, actually sighs at me, like I'm the one being difficult. "Your Wi-Fi password, I need it. My mom grounded me from my data plan, but I have followers waiting. My TikTok needs new content." Now, let me pause here. I'm a reasonable person. I believe in community. I've helped neighbors jumpstart cars, accepted packages, even watered plants during vacations. But handing over my private Wi-Fi password to a teenager I barely know, that's not neighborly. That's just no. "Madison," I say as calmly as possible, "this is my private internet connection. I pay for it myself. You'll need to work this out with your parents." Her face does this thing, this scrunching thing that I immediately recognize because I've seen it 1,000 times on her mother's face. It's the "how dare you tell me no" look. "It doesn't cost you anything extra to share," she argues, like she's presenting some brilliant economic theory. "That's not the point," I reply. "It's private property." And here's where it gets good. She pulls out her phone, waves it at me like it's a weapon, and says, and I quote, "I'm calling the cops on you for being unreasonable. You're going to get arrested." I actually laugh. I can't help it. "For not sharing my Wi-Fi?" "Yes," she shouts, already storming off my porch. "You'll see. They're going to arrest you." I watch her stomp back across the street to the Payton house, and I think to myself, this girl has no idea how the world works. But I'm about to find out just how much trouble one entitled teenager can cause. Let me tell you about Karen Payton. She's not just any neighborhood busybody. Oh no. Karen is the self-appointed queen of our HOA, president for 3 consecutive years. She treats this suburban cul-de-sac like her personal kingdom, and she rules with an iron fist wrapped in passive-aggressive notes and violation letters. Madison had been grounded 2 weeks earlier for sneaking out to meet friends at midnight, classic teenager behavior. But Karen treated it like a federal crime. No phone data, no car, no freedom. But here's the thing about grounding a teenage influencer. Take away their internet, and they turn into digital vampires, desperately hunting for any Wi-Fi signal they can find. And apparently, my network, Netflix and Don't Bother, had full bars from her bedroom window. The next morning, I'm having coffee when there's another knock. I should have known better than to answer, but curiosity kills the cat, right? Madison's back, but this time she's got backup, so she thinks. "I talked to my mom, and she agrees that sharing Wi-Fi is a community service, so you need to give me the password." I take a slow sip of my coffee. "Your mom doesn't get to decide how I use my private connection, Madison. You're hoarding bandwidth. That's selfish. I have rights. Everyone deserves internet access." "Then ask your mom to restore your data plan," I suggest reasonably. "She won't. Not until my punishment is over in 3 more weeks, Madison whines. "But my followers can't wait that long. Do you know what happens when you don't post consistently? Your algorithm dies. You lose engagement. I could lose sponsorship opportunities." I stare at her. This child is 16 and talking about sponsorship opportunities while standing on my doorstep demanding free internet. "Madison," I say slowly, "this conversation is over." I close the door, gently but firmly. Little did I know, the real war was just beginning. That afternoon, I find a letter in my mailbox. Official HOA stationery. Karen's signature at the bottom. My heart sinks because I just know this is going to be ridiculous. The letter accuses me of failing to demonstrate community spirit and creating division among neighbors. Division, because I won't give a grounded teenager my Wi-Fi password? I crumple it up and toss it in recycling. Surely this is just Karen being Karen. Surely it'll blow over. I was so naive. By late afternoon, there's another letter. This one cites neighborhood discord and threatens a formal hearing. A hearing over Wi-Fi. And then, just as the sun's setting and I'm trying to convince myself this day can't get any weirder, a third letter arrives. This one mentions potential legal action for withholding services. Karen Payton has convinced herself that her daughter's inability to post TikTok dance videos is a community crisis worthy of legal intervention. Word spreads fast in our neighborhood. By evening, my phone's buzzing with texts from other neighbors. Mrs. Chen from 2 doors down, did Karen really send you 3 violation letters in one day? Tom from across the street, heard Madison's demanding your Wi-Fi. That kid's something else. Even old Mr. Rodriguez, not the cop, different Rodriguez, stops by to tell me he thinks the whole thing is absurd and offers to testify on my behalf if it goes to the HOA board. Everyone knows Karen's lost at this time, but knowing Karen, she's not going to back down. She never backs down. That would require admitting she's wrong, and in Karen's world, she's never wrong. She's always just misunderstood or doing what's necessary for the community. For 2 days, there's an eerie calm. No letters, no door knocks. I start to think maybe, just maybe, Karen's given up. Then, on the 3rd morning, Madison returns, and this time she's not asking, she's not even demanding, she's threatening. She marches up to my door, phone already in her hand, and gives me an ultimatum. Give me the password right now or I'm calling 911. I actually laugh. Again, because what else can you do when faced with that level of delusion? Madison, Wi-Fi is not a public utility. Yes, it is, she insists. It's essential, like water and electricity, and you're withholding it. That's illegal. It's not illegal, I say patiently, and 911 is for emergencies. This is an emergency, she shouts. I haven't posted in 3 days. Do you know what that does to engagement rates? And then, I kid you not, she actually dials 911, right there on my porch. I watch in stunned silence as she puts the phone to her ear. Yes, hi, she says to the dispatcher. I need to report my neighbor. They're withholding public utilities from me. Yes, internet. I think it's against the law. No, I have power and water, but I need Wi-Fi for my social media. What? No, it's not life-threatening, but... The dispatcher's voice is loud enough that I can hear from where I'm standing. Ma'am, private Wi-Fi is not a public utility. Is there actually an emergency? Madison stammers. Well, my career is on the line. An officer will be by to speak to you about the appropriate use of emergency services, the dispatcher says, and I can hear the exhaustion in her voice. She's probably dealt with entitled nonsense like this before. Madison hangs up, looking confused. They're sending someone to help, she tells me confidently. Madison, I say slowly, they're sending someone to talk to you about wasting police resources. No, they're not, she scoffs. They're going to make you share. I go back inside. There's no reasoning with this level of delusion, but I position myself by the front window because I'm not missing what happens next for anything. Act 3. The police arrive. 20 minutes later, a squad car pulls up. Out steps Officer Rodriguez. Yes, same last name as my neighbor, no relation. He's been a cop in this town for 15 years, and I can tell by his expression that he already knows this is going to be one of those calls. Madison practically runs to meet him. Officer, thank goodness, that neighbor, she points at my house, is refusing to share their internet with the community. It's not fair. Everyone should have access. Officer Rodriguez looks at her, then at me standing in my doorway, then back at her. Ma'am, can you explain why you believe you're entitled to your neighbor's private internet connection? Because I need it, Madison explains like it's obvious. My mom took away my data, and I can see their network from my room. It has full bars. They're just being selfish. The officer turns to me. Sir, is this your Wi-Fi network she's referring to? Yes, officer, I confirm. It's my private connection that I pay for personally. She's asked multiple times, and I've declined multiple times. He nods slowly, then turns back to Madison. Miss, I need you to understand something very clearly. Wi-Fi is private property. It's not a public utility like water or electricity. Your neighbor has no legal obligation to share it with you or anyone else. And that's when Karen makes her entrance. She comes storming out of her house like she's about to save the day, wearing her HOA President badge. Yes, she actually has a badge that she had made, pinned to her cardigan. Officer, she calls out, I'm Karen Payton, HOA President. This resident, she points at me with actual disdain, has been violating community obligations and creating hostile conditions for my daughter. Officer Rodriguez turns to her with the patience of a man who's dealt with 1,000 Karens before. Ma'am, what specific community obligation requires this resident to share their private internet connection? Karen opens her mouth, closes it, opens it again. Well, it's about community spirit, being a good neighbor. We have bylaws. Do any of those bylaws specifically mandate sharing private Wi-Fi? Not specifically, Karen admits, but the spirit of the community. Ma'am, there is no law, local, state, or federal, that requires anyone to share their private internet connection. Your daughter called 911 and claimed this was an illegal withholding of public utilities. That's a false report. Karen's face goes through about 5 different shades of red. This is outrageous. This is an abuse of power. You're supposed to serve the community. I am the HOA president. I know the mayor. I know the police chief. This is private property, and we have rights. Officer Rodriguez doesn't even flinch. Ma'am, if you continue yelling, I'll have to ask you to go inside. Making false reports is serious. Harassment is serious. Your daughter admitted to calling 911 over Wi-Fi access. That's the end of the discussion. He hands Madison a written warning. She takes it like it's contaminated. Karen tries one more time. This is being blown completely out of proportion. Then I suggest, the officer says evenly, that you stop blowing it out of proportion. Have a good day, ladies. He tips his hat to me, gets back in his car, and drives away. Karen and Madison are left standing on their lawn humiliated while several neighbors, including Mrs. Chen with her phone out, have watched the entire thing unfold.
Act 4. The Fallout. Within an hour, the video Mrs. Chen recorded is in the neighborhood group chat. Within 2 hours, it spread to 3 other neighborhood group chats. By evening, everyone within a 5-mile radius knows that Karen and Madison called the cops over Wi-Fi. The comments are brutal. Imagine calling 911 because you can't post on TikTok. This is peak entitlement. Poor officer probably has better things to do. HOA presidents like this are why people hate HOAs. Madison, naturally, is mortified. Her social media hiatus just got extended by public humiliation. Karen, on the other hand, tries to do damage control. She posts in the neighborhood chat that the situation was misrepresented and that she was only advocating for her daughter's reasonable needs. No one's buying it. Tom responds, Karen, your daughter called emergency services over internet access. There's no misrepresenting that. Mrs. Chen adds, I have it on video if anyone needs a refresher. Karen stops responding. The next morning, I get a call from David Park, the HOA vice president. He's a reasonable guy, an engineer who runs the HOA meetings with actual logic and fairness, which is probably why Karen hates him. I heard about the incident, he says. Karen sent you violation letters? 3 in one day, I confirm. He sighs heavily. That's abuse of authority. We're calling an emergency board meeting. Can you attend Friday night? Absolutely. Friday arrives, and the community center meeting room is packed. Apparently, Everyone wants to see what happens when Karen finally faces consequences for her behavior. The board consists of 5 members: David as VP, Karen as president, and 3 other members: Janet, Robert, and Susan. All 3 of them look uncomfortable as Karen takes her seat at the head of the table. David calls the meeting to order. We're here to discuss recent complaints regarding abuse of presidential authority, specifically regarding violation letters sent to, he says my name, without board approval or valid cause. Karen immediately goes on the defensive. This is a witch hunt. I was doing my job as president. That resident refused to cooperate with community standards. What community standards? Janet asks. I've reviewed our bylaws. There's nothing about sharing internet. It's about the principle, Karen insists, about being a good neighbor. You sent 3 violation letters in one day, threatening legal action over a private internet connection. That's not enforcing standards, that's harassment. My daughter needed access, Karen shouts. Your daughter, Susan says quietly, called 911 and filed a false report. The police issued her a warning. This isn't about community standards, Karen. This is about you using your position to bully someone into giving your daughter what she wants. The room is silent. David clears his throat. A motion has been made to remove Karen Payton as HOA President for abuse of authority, harassment of residents, and misuse of HOA resources. All in favor. 4 hands go up. Everyone except Karen. Motion passes. Karen, you're removed as president effective immediately. Additionally, Madison is banned from the community center for 30 days for her role in this incident. Karen stands up so fast her chair tips over. You can't do this. I've been president for 3 years. I've dedicated my life to this community. And we appreciate that, David says diplomatically. But this behavior is unacceptable. The decision is final. Karen storms out, Madison trailing behind them, both of them red-faced and furious. The room erupts in quiet conversation. Mrs. Chen leans over and whispers, Finally.
Act 5. Sweet Victory. Aftermath. The weekend after the board meeting, the neighborhood feels different, lighter somehow, like a storm cloud has finally moved on. I run into Mrs. Chen at the grocery store. That was something, wasn't it? She says with a smile. It really was, I agree. You know, she continues, a lot of us have wanted to stand up to Karen for years, but she always found a way to make life difficult for anyone who challenged her. You did us all a favor. I didn't mean to start a revolution, I laugh. I just didn't want to share my Wi-Fi. Sometimes that's all it takes, she says. One person saying no. Tom catches me outside a few days later. Hey, I heard David's taking over as HOA president. Actual reasonable leadership? It's going to be nice. Even Mr. Rodriguez, the neighbor, not the cop, stops by with a pie. My wife made this for you. She says you're a hero. I think that's a bit much, but you definitely stood your ground. Good for you. The new normal. Madison avoids me like I have the plague. If she sees me outside, she immediately turns and goes the other direction. Karen's much the same, though she at least maintains a stiff nod of acknowledgement when our paths cross. The violation letters have stopped, obviously. David runs the HOA with actual fairness. He sends out newsletters about upcoming community events, handles actual issues like broken streetlights and pothole repairs, and generally acts like a normal person instead of a petty tyrant. Karen still lives across the street, but her reign of terror is over. She's just another neighbor now. No badge, no authority, no ability to threaten people with violations for not bending to her will. Madison, for her part, survived her 3-week grounding. I saw her posting TikToks again eventually, with her own data plan restored, I assume. She's probably learned nothing from this experience, but at least she's learned not to knock on my door. The final touch. About a month after everything settled down, I'm in my router settings for an unrelated reason, and I remember the whole saga. I smile to myself and do something I've been meaning to do. I change my Wi-Fi network name. Previously, Netflix and Don't Bother, it's now No Free TikToks Here. Within a day, I get texts from neighbors who've noticed. Mrs. Chen, I just saw your new network name. I'm dying. Tom, legend status confirmed. Even David sends me a laughing emoji. I don't know if Madison's seen it. I don't know if she's looking at available networks from her room anymore. But every time I connect to my Wi-Fi now, I smile. Because sometimes the best revenge is simply maintaining your boundaries and having a good sense of humor about it. The Paytons taught me a valuable lesson. Not every hill is worth dying on, but some hills, like your private property and your right to say no, are absolutely worth defending. And if defending your boundaries results in the dethroning of a neighborhood tyrant, well, that's just a happy bonus. Epilogue. Lessons learned. Looking back on the whole Wi-Fi war, I've had time to process what really happened. This wasn't actually about internet access. It never was. This was about entitlement, about a teenager who'd never been told no, and a mother who enabled that entitlement at every turn. About someone who held a tiny bit of power and abused it because she could. Madison genuinely believed she had a right to my Wi-Fi. Not because she paid for it, not because we had an agreement, but simply because she wanted it and could see it from her window. In her worldview, her needs, or wants, really, superseded my rights to my own property. And Karen? Karen enabled that worldview. Worse, she weaponized her HOA position to try to force me into compliance. 3 violation letters in one day, threats of legal action, all because I wouldn't give her daughter free internet access. The scariest part? If I'd been less confident in my rights, I might have given in just to make the harassment stop, and that's exactly what they were counting on. This story spread beyond our neighborhood. A friend of mine shared it on Reddit, and apparently it went viral. Thousands of comments from people sharing their own HOA horror stories, their own encounters with entitled neighbors, their own experiences with Karens. One comment stuck with me. This is why boundaries matter. Every time you cave to unreasonable demands, you teach people that your boundaries don't mean anything. That's exactly it. If I'd given Madison the password, even though I had every right to refuse, I would have taught her that persistence, threats, and harassment eventually work. That if you make someone uncomfortable enough, they'll give you what you want. What kind of lesson is that? What kind of adult would she become believing that? By standing firm, I didn't just protect my Wi-Fi. I protected my right to say no. And maybe, just maybe, I taught a 16-year-old girl that the world doesn't revolve around her wants. These days, things are peaceful. David's running the HOA with actual competence. The neighborhood feels more like a community and less like a dictatorship. Karen keeps to herself mostly, probably stewing about her loss of power, but unable to do anything about it. And me? I'm still enjoying my private internet connection, now with a network name that makes me smile every single day. If you take anything from this story, let it be this. Your boundaries are valid. Your property is yours, and you are never obligated to give people access to your things just because they want it, no matter how much they demand, threaten, or try to make you feel guilty. Stand your ground. Say no when something doesn't work for you. And remember, sometimes the most revolutionary act is simply refusing to comply with unreasonable demands. Also, maybe don't call 911 over Wi-Fi. Just a thought.